Hello hearties, it's Catherine here of Selling from the Heart, and in today's video I want to talk to you about this question: do I need a big list, a big mailing list, a big community to sell and to launch group programs or memberships? Now, before I get into that, one of the reasons I've been focusing a bit on group programs and memberships just the last couple of weeks is because, of course, I'm an affiliate this year for my own business mentor, Stu McLaren. And so we've got a bit of the membership buzz going on. But I just want to remind you at the beginning of this video that a group program, a membership, these are just one of the many business models available to you. And so if this is not something that calls you, that's not a problem at all. You know, other business models that are perfectly valid are working one-to-one with clients, doing consulting, doing training, running retreats, maybe high-end masterminds, although again, they're coming back round to group programs. So you can make your business work any way you want. And that's the stuff that I cover within the Business from the Heart membership, my own membership community. But the reason I'm doing this video today is I've got quite inspired because I actually got off on a bit of a rant the other day. So as part of my affiliate support for Stu McLaren's Tribe program, I've set up a private Facebook group to talk about memberships called Let's Talk Memberships. And I was doing a bit of a debrief in there on one of his workshops this week. And you don't need to be following along with that. You don't need to have watched his videos to get value from what I'm about to share today. But the reason I got on my soapbox was because in one of his videos, he was talking about the size of community that you ought to aim to have before launching your group program or your membership. And he actually stated a figure. He said that if you have a mailing list of 10,000 people, you're in a really good shape to launch a membership. And I would say that if you're in a good shape to launch a membership, you're in a good shape to launch any sort of group program. But of course, I disagree with him. I disagree with him very much. I don't believe you need anything like 10,000 people on your mailing list or in your social media following in order to launch your group programs, have great fulfillment serving your clients, and actually create a really good business for you. Now, of course, it depends ultimately on your financial goals and your financial ambitions, but I did get a bit of a bee in my bonnet, and let me explain why. So the first reason is because I personally have never had a mailing list of that size. And yet, despite never having had a mailing list of 10,000 people myself, for the last 6 years, I have consistently done a business revenue of above 6 figures every year, year on year, consistently. I've had over 500, it's somewhere between 500 and 600 people go through my online program, get more clients saying yes. And I've currently got about 240 members within my membership community. And I've worked with many, many private clients over that time period. And so I would like to say that I'm an example of the statement that you could also make, which is that your business is not dependent on the size of your list or the size of your following. It's actually much more dependent on the quality of that following, and even more so on the quality of the information that you're putting out. Because if you share good, solid, reliable information and people like you and trust you and you have a good reputation, then you can grow a very successful, sustainable business with a lot less than 10,000 people. So you can see he's sort of just, and I felt, within that group, the Let's Talk memberships, there's about 50 something people, but there's thousands of you who might benefit from hearing this message, even if you're not in that group. So the other thing I want to share with you is not only have I myself never had a mailing list of that size. Now, clearly, let me just pause for a bit of a reality check. If I wanted a 7-figure business, then I would probably need a bigger mailing list than I have right now. But not everybody watching this wants that. So it's all proportional. So the other thing I want to share with you, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, this sounds like such a big figure. When I first launched my online program 7 years ago, I actually had a mailing list of 300 people. And I launched my online program and I had 20 people join me for the pilot program. So I think I made just shy of £7,000 or £6,000, something like that. So I was over the moon to get paid to create my first online program. About 6 months later, and that launch didn't grow my list at all. And about 6 months later, I decided to launch again. I'd signed up with a business mentor by now. I'd invested some money in filling the gaps in what I don't know. And I now did a proper sort of launch. And this time around, I had 300 people on my mailing list. And I sold 81 places on my online program. And I think I did something like £18,000 in revenue, in profit that came to me personally from that. Now, because of the marketing strategy that I used at that time, I started with 300 people. I finished that with 1,800 people. And so the actual act of launching that program did help me to grow that mailing list. Now, for those of you interested in memberships, here's a thought. Imagine if instead of offering my online program at that time, I'd actually launched my membership. And imagine that I decided to charge £50 a month. And imagine the same 81 people joined me. I would have had a recurring revenue of £4,000 a month straight out of the gate doing online group programs. Now, memberships were not really on my radar at that time. But when I think about it now, I think, now that could have been a great opportunity for me. Now, that's me. And so what I really want to talk about and the message I want to get across here is that it's not the size of your mailing list that counts when it comes to launching your group programs or your memberships. What matters, I believe, is your expectations. Because what I see is that it's when your expectations are out of alignment with reality that can cause the misery and that can cause the disappointment. So again, let me share an example. So if I wind back a few years, I was working with a client and this client had a mailing list of about 100 people. And she decided to launch her first ever group online program. And she went out to that mailing list and she ran a Facebook only launch. She ran a bit of a launch in Facebook. She emailed her list as well. And she sold 5 places on her first ever online program. And she came to the first mentoring call with me after she had done that. And she was so despondent and she was beating herself up and she felt like a failure because she had only 5 people. But from my point of view, I was like, you've got 5 people out of 100. That's a 5% conversion of your entire mailing list. Oh my gosh, I would kill for those sorts of figures. All of the big marketing gurus out there, they would give anything for those sort of figures. So that 5 actually as a percentage of her overall list was incredible. And imagine that she could scale that. So now when her mailing list is 1,000 people, that's going to be 50 people in her online program. When the mailing list is at 2,000, at that conversion rate, that's going to be 100 people in her online program. She was really, really onto something. But the thing that caused the problem was not the results, because her results were outstanding. The problem was her expectations, because she had expected to get much larger numbers into that program. Then, as another similar example, I worked with another private client last year, and this particular client wanted to launch a membership program. And this client had a mailing list of about 3,000 people, but she had a sub list that she wanted to launch to. She didn't want to go out really publicly with it. There was a sub list of 280 people and she wanted to launch to them. And so we had this conversation about expectations. And I asked her to really get clear about what would be the ideal number of people for her to have join that membership, and what would be the minimum that she would actually feel happy and wholehearted about running it for, without any sense of resentment or feeling like she'd failed. And the figure that she gave was something like about 12 people. And I remember doing the sums with her and saying, listen, if this is the number that you enroll into this membership right now, you're going to be bringing in about £700 a month every single month. Would you be happy with that for the work, in return for the work you're going to put in, and in return for actually getting this started and starting to see results and testimonials? And she said, absolutely, I would be delighted with 12 members and a £700 a month revenue, because I know I would be getting started. And if I can do a good job for those first members, I know that I can grow and scale it from there. And that was what she did. And I know that she's launched at least 2 more times since then. So she's well on her way to a much bigger membership community. And so do you see what I'm talking about here? What matters here is not the size of your mailing list. It's not the size of your community. It's your expectations. And if you would be totally happy to enroll 6 people into your first online program, just because you want to get going, you want to get the feedback, you want to see the results, you want to get the testimonials, because you know that the second time you do it, it's going to be so much easier, then go for it. But if what you want is to launch your online program, and you want to have 100 people going through it that very first time, but you've currently got a mailing list of 150 people in your free Facebook group, chances are it ain't going to happen unless you have got access to some joint venture partners, collaborative partners who do have the reach and numbers, or a really good budget for paid advertising and a paid advertising campaign that you actually know works, that is tested and that you can trust. So, and don't be afraid of starting with small numbers. I hear this sometimes as well, oh, I don't want to start my program because I don't want to do it with small numbers, because the Facebook group's going to feel like a ghost town, and, people are going to expect it to be really buzzing and thriving. But, not necessarily. It all comes down to how you sell it. So if when you're making the offer and doing your launch or running your webinars, you tell everybody that it's going to be this thriving community and it's going to be really buzzing and there's going to be people posting every day, and then they turn up and they find that there's only 6 other people, of course that's going to feel a bit incongruent. But what if you know it's going to be a small group and you tell them it's going to be a small group? This is going to be the first time I'm going to run it like this. It's going to be a small, intimate group. You're going to have lots of my personal attention. Who wouldn't want to be in your first ever program or membership where they know that until the second time you open the doors, they are going to be the group that gets your personal, undivided small group attention? Who wouldn't want that? So your clients benefit. Usually the only person who gets upset when it's small numbers is you, because it's your ego that's being bruised. But if you know that you're setting out to do a smaller group, then that's fine. And so it's not so much about the size of your list or community, it's about the level of your expectations. Would you be happy with a number of people in that first program or membership that is realistic based on your current reach? If the answer is yes, go for it, get started. I started with 20 people in my first ever online program. If I had not started with that first 20, I wouldn't have got the results. I wouldn't have got the testimonials. I wouldn't have learned in depth about my ideal clients. I wouldn't have gained the confidence, and I wouldn't have been the person who went out and sold 81 the next time. And I think the most I've sold once is 105, but I've had between 500 and 600 people go through that program right now. I grew as a person, I grew as a business owner, I grew as a teacher and mentor because I was prepared to start from where I was. And here's a secret for you, I also did that same. I was lucky I had somebody to talk me through that process. And I was talked through that same decision-making process about what number would I be happy with. And for that very first online program that I launched, my minimum numbers to run was actually 6 people. I would have been delighted with the opportunity to get started with just 6. And so if it's good enough for me, it might be good enough for you. However, what if that's not right for you? What if that doesn't feel fulfilling and rewarding? What if you don't think it's going to feel motivating for you to be serving just a small group of people, maybe less than 20? What if you know that you do want to get started with bigger numbers straight out of the gate? Maybe you want to kick off your membership with 100 people like I did. Maybe you want to launch your first online program with at least 30 people in it. Maybe you're hearing me talk about these numbers, a list of 100, a list of 280, and you're thinking, gosh, this is a lot more than me. I've got nobody. Well, then that's easy too, because all that means is that your first job is to go out and grow your emailing list and grow your community. And honestly, it's so much easier than you might think. It's really not hard to grow your mailing list from 0 to 200 or 300 people. You know, why not say, I'm going to grow my mailing list to 300 because that's what Catherine had when she started. And then I'm going to launch my group program because that's where my heart is. So if you are in these smaller figures and you're just getting started, you just need to make sure that you're going about growing that mailing list in the right way. So the first thing you need is to have something that your ideal client audience really wants to have, that they will see as valuable, that they can sign up for and get hold of for free in exchange for their email address. Now, it's really important that that free giveaway is really compelling and adds value to your audience. Nobody wants to sign up to receive more emails, thank you very much. And so if you already have a free giveaway on your website and nobody's signing up to it, then I would encourage you to take a really good look at that. You may need to go back to the drawing board and design something that your audience really does want to get their hands on. And then once you know that you've got a free giveaway that people actually want, that they are willing to give you their email address in return for, which allows you to start building that mailing list. Now, of course, you do have to stay in touch. You do have to nurture them. You do have to send them some good content to keep in touch with them. Then all you then need to do is get in front of as many people as possible with that free giveaway. And there are 3 ways of doing that. One is organically through social media by posting and sharing online, and you will see that list grow organically over time. But organically also means slowly and gradually. And again, as long as you understand that and you're okay with that, that's really exciting. The other option is that you can pay. So once you know that people actually do want to sign up for your free giveaway, you might decide to pay to put it in front of more people. And this would be things like Facebook ads, maybe Google ads, depending on your particular business, but it's about paying for that traffic. And the third option you have to put it in front of more people is to use other people's audiences. Now, this is the thing that has worked really well for me in my business. And other people's audiences, this is things like collaborating with another business owner who might be willing to send an email to his or her community about you. It might be going and giving talks for other people's communities. It might be doing podcast interviews. Any way in which you can get in front of other people's audiences. So I hope you found this useful. I just wanted to share my thoughts about this because I think that when we listen to the big marketers and the people with the really big 7-figure plus businesses who are teaching us how to grow our businesses, it can be really easy to look up there and think, oh my gosh, for me to be successful, I have to have a following like you. For me to be successful, I also need a mailing list of 10,000 people. Believe me, it's not true. I've seen clients launch programs with 100 people, 200 people, 300 people. I launched my own first online program with a mailing list of just 300 people. You know, if we can all do it, you can do it too. So like I said, if you're at ground zero, your first focus really needs to be on growing your community, growing out your mailing list, growing out your contacts. But if you already have 2 or 3 people, then your decision is, do I want to launch now to get started with a small intimate group? Or do I want to go big and build up and wait until I have a much larger audience to sell to? Now, there is a really great advantage to starting small with your smaller community because it gives you a chance to learn and hone and find out more about your clients, get results, get testimonials. So there's a lot to be said for launching and running like a beta program with your smaller list or community. And when you discover that it actually works for you and you can see that it's got potential and it's going to be successful, then to press pause for a period of time while you grow your mailing list in order to launch it again the next time. So I'm going to wrap up there. I hope this has been really useful and has reassured you. And of course, even those of you watching this who are mainly focused on one-to-one clients or who only want a one-to-one client business model, growing your mailing list will also help you enormously with that. It's getting this mailing list of people who know, like and trust you and are interested in hearing from you regularly that will ultimately move you away from the hustle to that place where you have a nice, regular flow of clients who are interested in working with you. So lots of love to all of you. Bye-bye for now.